Okay, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, I guess, still. It is a cloudy day here in Kitchener-Waterloo, although it does seem to be clouds breaking in front of us here, so hopefully we will see some nice sunny weather for the afternoon. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for this installment of our webinar series for K-12 educators. It is an introductory series, so it is meant to be building on the previous webinars and giving you a functional instructional demo and some ideas to be able to move forward with your practice online. Over the next few days, actually, there'll be one this afternoon and one tomorrow. We will continue our webinar series. There is a repeat of Monday's session of Getting Started with Brightspace. So if you did miss that and you need some of the early fundamentals, that would be one to join today at 3 p.m. And there will be one tomorrow that will be looking at using the portfolio tool as a way to track learning from home and to build out that learning digital portfolio for our students. These webinars are going to be primarily focused on the tools and the technology, and so how to use it, and they will rely on instructional demos to do that. So the idea is that you will be able to learn how the tool works and then hopefully be able to take it away and apply it into your practice. We will be running these webinars at about a 30-minute block, and I'm hoping to stay on track with that time frame today. I do hope that that happens. During this webinar, again, we're going to be taking a quick look at how we can connect with our students using Brightspace. So I will be focusing on a couple tools and giving you a couple tips and tricks to kind of make them your practice a little bit more engaging, as well as to look at creating like multimedia focused kind of posts and assignments for your students. My name is Heather Ryan. I am a customer success specialist at D2L. I have worked with D2L for the past couple of years, supporting clients in the K-12 with their use of Brightspace. Prior to my time with D2L, I lived in Seoul, South Korea for 11 years, where I worked primarily with the elementary panel at an English immersion private school in Central Seoul. I spent the last 6 years that I was in Seoul teaching grades 4 and 5. If you see on the page here, I have included my Twitter handle. The reason that I've included that on my introduction slide here is I often post tips and tricks, tool updates, release information, as well as upcoming events such as these webinars using my Twitter. In the event that you have any questions today, there is a questions email at the bottom of here or on the page as well. So k12ont@d2l.com. We will be happy to address any questions that you may have by using that email. Just a couple housekeeping items that I want to cover before we get started. So first today, I will be using the term district, which I'll be using to reference any customers that we have at D2L. So you may call it your school board or your division. However, for this webinar series, just to streamline it, I'm going to go ahead and use the term district. But don't judge me if I slip, because I often use school board as well. Second, the commenting and all of the Q&A has been disabled and will be disabled for the entire webinar series. These webinars are inclusive to all K-12 educators from all districts. Since we only have a short time together, we will not have the capacity to answer specific questions about how your district has set up Brightspace, for example. Instead, we recommend that you reach out to your district Brightspace administrator with those specific questions. In the event that you do have questions about the tools specifically, you can email k12ont@d2l.com and we will be happy to address any of those questions. However, the actual configurations and practices, we encourage you to speak directly to your district's Brightspace administrator. Third, due to the large volume of folks that are discovering the webinars, we have missed or may have missed some of our earlier webinars. We will be sending out one email with all the recordings and slide decks later in the week. However, they are also posted on the website where you registered, the education webinar website, and they will be available there for you to see both the video as well as refer to the slide deck. You will notice that throughout the slide deck or throughout the presentation, you will see a variety of quick links such as the education webinar site that's listed on the screen right now. And again, that's why we're sharing the slide deck, so you'll be able to get all of that information. Finally, if your district isn't currently using Brightspace, feel free to follow along, but the webinars are meant to show you how the tools are working or how you can apply them. not how to acquire Brightspace. If you are interested, again, the email can go directly to k12ont@d2l.com, and they will make sure to address that for you. And that's it for housekeeping. So we're going to pop in here and have a look at what our agenda is today. So this morning, we're going to have a quick look at the current state. We want to kind of go through some of the terms and questions that we often receive about what is Brightspace. And then we're going to move forward into the actual content of the webinar today. So today we're going to be looking at some quick ways to customize your homepage to make them a little bit more user-friendly and personal for your students. We're going to look at using the announcement tool and some of the insert stuff features to create an activity for your students. We're going to look at how activity can be used to engage with your students, and then of course we will go through some of the resources that have been collected for you. So let's just move right on here. So looking at the current state where we're starting in our thing, we need to realize that this is a global phenomenon, and we are here to help support schools and teachers across multiple countries. D2L wants you to know that we are here to help. As we continue to hear more and we continue to see more from our educators around the world, we know that you can benefit from the lessons and stories from others. So as we continue to hear these stories, we would like to be able to share more resources, best practices, with you so that you're able to further develop your own practice and share with each other, because we all know that we're stronger together, so we need to rely on each other these days. With online learning and moving towards the remote education, we have a few things that as educators we should make sure that we are considering. D2L has kind of highlighted 6 of the most important ones here that we feel are the most important ones. So the first one we want to highlight is content and resources. And whether you're starting from scratch or you have experience teaching online, being able to pull all of your resources together and be able to share them with other teachers or across the platform or across year to year is very important, especially in our fast moving times. So using a platform that allows you to pull the resources together in one place for your students is going to be able to best support them at home as they navigate through the content. Devices and internet access. Of course, we understand that online learning is a valuable resource in times like this, but as educators, we always need to consider our students that may be without internet or devices. For learners that have older devices or computers at home, make sure that you're not over-focusing on apps that can rely on the newest operating system. Brightspace, for example, uses responsive web design and offline content to access, offline access to ensure that more of our learners are able to access the materials from anywhere. We are also seeing communities at this time pull together and really work hard to provide devices or hotspots or even free internet to individuals and students who need it at home. It's important for us to consider the support that's available at home. Parents are also in this new world and they're balancing work, whether it's at home or in their place of employment, while supporting their students. It's important for us to consider how much support parents can provide, or family members or guardians, and choose online tools that we can use to communicate them and to keep everything all in one place. Accessibility and equity continues to be a focus of D2L and of course educators across the globe. As you look for online tools, it's important to consider whether or not they will be able to meet the needs of all your learners. Tools like Brightspace that are WCAG compliant means that they can be used with screen readers, for example. Security and privacy is always important information that we have to take into consideration when we're choosing a tool. If you're asking your students to use online tools, make sure that their data is protected. Tools like Brightspace have a license with your district and have been properly vetted and can offer assurance. D2L also would like to ensure that you understand that we do not own student or teacher content. Finally, synchronous and asynchronous learning. Having synchronous lessons like video conferences is a great tool, but it's important for us to keep in mind that some households only have one device that their children may be sharing. Having an online lesson plan that allows for asynchronous learning, physical activity breaks, or household schedules is important and should be considered. As we move forward, we can see that a variety of districts around the globe have started pooling and aggregating resources, and we've listed a few here, a couple from Toronto and Ontario, as well as New York City Department of Education, as well as some of the free resources that we've seen from Scholastic and Pearson as well. As we continue to explore the free tools, we will continue to update the resources that we have available. So that is, oh, I missed my check mark here. What is Brightspace? That should have a check mark there, and that's done. Next, we're going to move on to looking at our instructional, oh, sorry, nope, sorry, I am wrong. I'm jumping ahead here. We've done the current state. Now we're moving on to what is Brightspace. I'm sorry, excuse me. Moving forward, just to understand a few terms that we often get some questions about related to D2L and Brightspace. First, I'd like to just highlight that D2L is our company. Our product is Brightspace. So the analogy that we often like to use here to just clarify that is that D2L would be like the equivalent of Apple, the company, whereas Brightspace would be like their iPhone, and then all the tools inside would kind of be like having the apps inside the iPhone. And then the third piece that I'd like to just highlight here is the Brightspace community. And Brightspace community is an online community where our clients and our D2L experts are able to address questions and talk about different use cases or applications of the product, as well as a location where you can find documentation or tutorials or past webinars that are there available for you to enable you as you move forward in your practice. Now we've finished what is Brightspace. So now we're going to move forward onto some of our demo pieces here. So I just want to highlight what some of our learning objectives are going to be today. So we're going to be looking at how we're going to customize that homepage banner. We're going to be using replace strings to do that, which is a neat way to personalize your space. We're going to create a rich announcement using some of the insert stuff features, an interactive activity feed post, and then I'm going to make sure that I show you how you're able to view this and check it as a student as well. So let's just move forward here. I'm going to hop over here into my other into my workspace. Just give me a quick second. Okay, so here we are. Now you can see what my Brightspace classroom is here. So I'm just using a very generic space for us to move forward here. So the name of my class is Brightspace Classroom. So what we can see here is this is the home page. So the home page shows us some of our tools that are on the page and some of the information that a teacher has already put in here. You will notice that it is an icon-based classroom, but you do have the option actually of also changing that and having it being a list form as well, really depending on what you're looking for with your classroom or maybe the grade level that you're teaching. Of course, the list content would be for probably older students who maybe didn't need a visual, like an icon to help them identify what they're working with. Today, we're going to be working inside the icon-based classroom, but it is something that, that you can adjust and function by, or alter by using your actions for the nav bar here. So it would just be a matter of editing the nav bar and changing it from the icon based. So today we're actually going to start here with the banner, which is kind of dull right now. What we see is simply my course code and a chalkboard. Not very engaging for our students or very personal for our classroom. So we want to make sure that we can update that. So using this ellipsis that's right here, you can see these 3 dots and it's the banner settings. And the first thing we're going to do is choose to change the banner. So because I'm teaching an elementary school classroom, maybe I just want something nice and bright for them. So I'm just going to look up colors here and see if I have an image that I really like that's going to suit me and my students a little bit more. So maybe I just really like this set of pencil crayons here, and I'm going to bring that in to just make it a little bit more bright. But I can certainly go ahead and look at a variety of different images there. And of course, you can upload your own too. So last year, in some of the teachers in Ontario, during the NBA finals, we saw a lot of banners with "Go Raptors Go." So they were able to change that and really make it suiting for their students. So that would be something that you could look at doing if you really wanted to personalize it or to take it to a new level. Here we also have the customized banner text. So what we see here is basically my course code, and I want that to be a little bit more engaging for my students, so I'm going to choose to customize that as well. So when I come in here, I have the ability to go ahead and alter this. So I'm going to change it to "Welcome to our digital classroom." Now, one of the really cool and neat things that you can do here to make sure that this is even more personal is that you can add something that's called a replace string. And what we do with a replace string is we use the little curly brackets. And for our purposes, I'm just going to type in first name, all one word, and then a curly bracket at the end. And what that's going to do is for each of my individual students, it's going to pull in their first name that shows up in the system. So their first name that's in their class list will come in as their system. So if you look here in the corner where it says K-12 educator, that is my teacher name in this course. So my first name is K-12. My last name is educator. So what you see here is that it's pulled in just my first name here to create a welcome message for me. So I can go ahead and personalize that for my students so that whenever they log into their homepage, it's going to look like a personal message right to them. So you could change that daily. You could change it for, the long term. It's completely up to you. But those are a couple just really quick ways to make your homepage a little bit more engaging for our students. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to move on to looking at creating a couple of kind of wellness-focused activities inside both the announcements tool as well as the activity feed. These tools can be used individually, and some districts will have only one of them available in their organization. Some will have both. So it's really customizable and dependent on your district. So that's why I'm going to show both these tools. Teachers can use these in a variety of different ways. Sometimes they're used as agendas or reminders. Sometimes they're used to put activities or information right on that homepage so that students don't have to navigate into other tools to find information. And that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to build out 2 activities today. We're going to build out a daily physical activity using announcements, and we're going to build out a gratitude post using activity feed. The idea behind both of these is to just kind of hope to show you how the tools are going to work, but hopefully to give you a couple ideas for ways that you can engage with your students and connect with them in some unique ways. So what I'd like to do is go ahead and start directly with activity feed, which we see here on the left. So I'm going to do 2 things in activity feed today. I'm going to do a very simple, quick post, which will be a message post, and I'm going to actually create an assignment directly inside activity feed. So I've done a little bit of work here in advance of this. So I've got some of my typing and information set preset so that I don't have to, you don't have to witness me doing all the typing as we go through here. So hopefully this will be nice and easy. So we're going to go here through this plus sign to create a post, and you'll see what it does is it gives us 2 options. It gives us a message option or an assignment option. So we're going to start with the message option first. The message option allows us to communicate with our students just in a quick way. So what I'm going to be doing with my students here today is I want them to start thinking about and talking about their gratitude. So I'm going to go ahead and add my instructions there for them. So it's time to talk about things we're thankful for. I want them to leave me a comment to tell the class about something they're thankful for today. I'm going to include a video for them to watch from Kid President. And if you don't know who Kid President is, you should definitely look him up because he's fantastic. And I'm going to include a photo of something that I, as the teacher, am thankful for. So those are my instructions for my students. I might want to break it down a little bit here and maybe give them a little bit more spacing between the information here, but you can certainly go ahead and do that, and you have your little small, minimal HTML editor here, which allows you to do a little bit of customization to the way it's going to look as well. So I've said in my content here that I'm going to add a video as well as a photo. So what I'm going to do is come into my attached file here, and I'm going to go to File Upload. My file upload, I'm going to pull in a photo here, let me see, of something that I am grateful for. So there's my niece Lucy and my dogs, as well as a unicorn headband. And that's what I'm excited and thankful for here. As well as I told my students that I would be adding a video. So I want to go ahead and continue here and add a video. Oh, one thing to point out, when you bring in a photo into the activity feed post, it will show the title of whatever it is saved in on your computer. So I've gone ahead and changed this so that it reflects what's in the photo. Otherwise, it might say, you know, JPEG XW23456, whatever your phone or your camera labels it as. So it's important to be cognizant of that and maybe rename it. Additionally, I want to go ahead and I want to add in a web link. So I want my students to watch a video. So I've also got that here. I'm just going to grab the link and bring it over. So I've already pulled the link here from YouTube, and I'm just going to call it Kid President Video. And I want to just insert that here as well. So there's my Kid President video, and you'll notice it's embedded right in the frame, and there's no advertisements there, and the students are going to be able to watch it directly inside the post. At the bottom here, we have two options. We have a post later or a post now option. So post later is a great function in the event that you're planning ahead. So maybe you're thinking about next week already, or you're wanting to do a Thankful Thursdays, and every Thursday you want your students to do something like this. So you can plan ahead for that and schedule the post. For our purposes though, we're going to go ahead and post it now because I want you to be able to see what it looks like when it renders inside the activity feed here. I have it set so that it does allow for comments from my students, but I can toggle that on and off so that they can or cannot add comments into the workflow. But because as I've asked them to leave a comment, I want to make sure that that's turned on here. So my students now can see my photo as well as the video, and they're going to be able to go ahead and make those comments there as they move forward. So it's really quick to kind of put those fast-paced kind of 1 minute kind of reminders or quick messages to them in here, and it does look like a social media feed. So again, that's something to note here as well with regards to when you type in your message, any of the links or attachments that you build out will come following the messaging that you put, similar to a social media feed. Here we see that there's a one planned post. So had I have gone ahead and scheduled that post to be scheduled later, I would see it noted here. This is one that I had done earlier so that our students would see that it's going to, and you can confirm that it's going to be coming through on Monday at 8 a.m. My second piece in the activity feed is going to be to create an activity or an assignment. So I'm going to choose assignment, and this is going to allow me to go ahead and build that out. So this assignment is going to be called, let's make a gratitude poster. And what I want to have my students do is to create a gratitude poster that they will be able to, that I'm going to ask them to post in a window to show thanks to all the people that are out there keeping us health and safety. So I might want to highlight some things here for my students, maybe some keywords, something like community helpers, because that's something we've previously studied in class. Maybe I want to italicize some of the instructions so that they are focused on those keywords. I've given my students the instructions to make a poster and hang it in their window. But I want them to do a couple other things here as well. So when they're finished, I want them to also add a photo or a video of their finished poster to their portfolio. So the portfolio is another tool that students can use to document their learning at home. Tomorrow we will be running a webinar on how that can be used. So if you are interested in that pedagogical documentation tool, there is going to be a webinar offered tomorrow, and you can register that through the education webinar link that you registered for this one. And I want them to tell me why they think it's important to help, to thank our community helpers. And then I just want them to know that I think that they're going to make people feel great after they're done. I'm not going to go ahead and put a due date here because I don't want my students to have any pressure, but you are more than welcome to go ahead and add that in there if you want. When you're building out an assignment here, you have the file submission option. So we have a few things here that we can have them do. We can have our students create a file submission for us, which would allow them to send us a picture. We can have them to text the submission, so that would allow them to use the HTML editor and to be able to type in their information right there. And then the second two would be submissions that we would have in person, whether it was on paper or we were able to observe it. So for our purposes, I want to have a file submission. And in this case, there's no need for my students to be commenting back and forth, so I'm going to turn that feature off. Now, to make this post a little bit more engaging, I want to add a few things to it. So what I want to do in my in this post here is go ahead and perhaps add another picture or add an existing activity, or maybe I want to pull in some information from my Google Drive or my OneDrive to complement the work that I'm doing here. If I'm logged into that, a Google Picker or OneDrive Picker will come up and will be able to go into that file for you without issue. But we're going to go ahead and just drag and drop a little photo here. Give the internet a second to catch up to me. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in a little photo just to make sure that it's a little bit more engaging for my students. If I wanted to have a video, I could do that here as well. But I'm going to just keep it nice and simple on this one so that my students can see what I want to have done. And again, you can see that it renders up here at the top, and my students have all the information that they need to understand or to hopefully understand and be successful in achieving their assignment goals here. So we've gone ahead and done that, which is wonderful. So those are two ways that you can use the activity feed to create quick, engaging activities right on the spot. Again, you'll see it looks a lot like a social media feed, and so students are able to engage in that way. Some of the nice things here, again, one of the comments, another option for the comment section is you can actually have students post any questions that they may have with regards to content that you're posting. And that way those commonly asked questions can be all seen and answered in the same place. That's just a little hint there for you. Now, we're gonna move over here to the announcements tool. And in the announcements tool today, we're going to create an activity for physical activity today. So our daily physical activity. We're going to click on the little chevron here, and it's going to give us our pop-up here, and we're going to choose new announcements, and that's where we're going to start building our work. So inside our new announcements, we're going to give it a headline. So we're going to give it a title. And speaking of that, should note that some districts have rebranded announcements, and they often call it newsfeed. So you may see newsfeed on your tool list instead of announcements, but they are the same tool. So what we're going to call our new announcement here is let's call it "Have you moved today?" And in this piece here, we're going to do a few different things to make this a nice and engaging piece. And the first thing that we're going to do here is look at some of the options that we have in this wonderful HTML editor that's here, or sometimes it's called the "what you see is what you get" editor, the WYSIWYG. And for our purposes here, we're going to work a little bit inside this first little section here. And it's actually named one of my favorite names for any kind of button, and that is Insert Stuff. And that's exactly what it does. When we choose Insert Stuff, it brings us to a variety of options of ways we can bring in different content, and we're going to explore a couple of these today. So the first one that we're going to explore is this wonderful tool here called Video Note. What Video Note does is that it allows us to create a recording, hi everybody, of ourselves that we're able to share with our students. So we might use this to provide instructions or direction for our students. We might use it to give daily greetings, to check in with them, let them see our faces. Of course, we also understand that video conferencing and video notes and webcam recordings may not be something that you're interested in doing, but maybe you want to provide your students with some audio. You can simply cover your webcam, cover it with like a Post-it so that they can hear your voice and can't see your face. So I'm going to use this as a way to give my students some instructions. Hey guys, just checking in with you today. It's really important for us to make sure that we're staying healthy, and one of the ways we can do that is to move every day and try something new. Today we're going to explore something called yoga. So once that's done, I'm just going to hit next, and I'm going to allow that to render here. We're going to for simplicity, I'm going to call it yoga. intro to yoga. Now here we have one option here where it's called the audio language. And what you can do here is you can go ahead and set that to wherever you're located. So I'm in Kitchener-Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, and I want this to be done in English. And what I can do is actually set this so that my video recording will come through with automatic closed captioning. So that's wonderful and a wonderful option if you have any students that perhaps are hearing impaired. And so it's an accessibility feature that can benefit them there. You don't have to use that. You can leave it as blank and just have the video without closed captioning. It's totally up to you. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to have that go ahead and insert directly into my lesson. And when it does render, it will come in right here. So it just takes a few moments there for that to happen. What I'm going to do is just going to use a line here to just show that there's a bit of a divide. And I'm going to move forward with my next steps. So I just like it a little bit bigger. Oh, they are both there. Oh, there's my video. So there's my instructional video. So I can just leave that here. And let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and add in a next step here. Check this out. So now I want my students to see see some other information. So I'm going to go ahead and add my next set of instructions here. So again, I pre-typed all of these out so that I didn't have to do all the typing live in front of you, and you could see how pathetic my typing skills are. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull in a photo from my computer again, and this one is going to be called is going to be bringing in is Dino Yoga. There's all kinds of wonderful information free resources online. So these were just some yoga posters that I found online with really neat movements for students to try. There was dinosaur yoga, there was garden yoga, unicorn yoga. So there's lots of resources out there for you to find. Here, this provide alternative text is a way for us to provide some details about images that we're rendering inside the tool that may, for screen readers. So the alternative text that you're putting in here would be, if a student was using a screen reader and going over the photo, it'd be the information that you would be able to give them about what it is. So this image is a picture of 6 yoga poses that are inspired by dinosaurs. It's important to be clear here and simple with regards to that. If you are trying to communicate what is showing in the image, or you can choose this image is decorative and it will not convey any information. So I'm going to go ahead and add that there just to make sure, and I'm going to save that. I've already added it into here in the past, so it was already saved there. Now we can see that this is quite big. We are able to shrink it down, so just wait till it loads here. So I am able to alter the size of it and shrink it down so that it's a little bit more manageable inside the post. So that is adding a photo. So I'm going to go ahead here and just insert another couple lines so that, and I like this just so it divides things a little bit. And of course, I like to use the different settings that are available to me from my editor here. So let's see. My next one is, okay. So we're going to go ahead and add in our next title here, or heading here. And it doesn't seem to want to be giving me the heading that I want, but that's okay. I'm happy to just carry on and see if we can, there we go. I guess I was just getting ahead of myself there. Huh? So let's take that out. All right, so now I want to go ahead and add in a video. So I'm going to give my students the instructions that I want them to have, and then I'm actually going to use a video to bring it right into the program here and have them watch it from home. So again, what I've done is I've used YouTube to go ahead and to pull in a link here. And so from the insert stuff, we have a couple options. So you can use the YouTube picker itself to go ahead and find it directly, or you can also insert a link. So depending on where you found the video or the activity, or sometimes I've seen teachers using the insert link piece to embed perhaps games from like PBS Kids, for example, as an option. You can also use the YouTube picker where you can actually search directly in YouTube. So you could type in kids yoga, you could type in kid president. It would really depend on what you're looking for. But for us, I actually have a link. So I'm just going to use the insert link piece here and paste that in. Oh, didn't grab the link like I wanted to. Okay, just highlight this here and bring it over. There we go. Now it's going to recognize it's coming from YouTube. It's giving me the title and letting me know everything that's in it. Gives me a quick preview. And yes, it is a trolls-based yoga for kids. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in there as well. Now there's one final piece that I want to put into my assignment here. And that is actually going to be the opportunity for us to try it together. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the things that I added in. Let's go ahead and try this here. All right, bring it back. I'm going to hit enter. There's my headline. Let's say want to try it together. So in this one, what I'm going to do is give my students the opportunity to join me or as a group to try this together. And it would be an opportunity for us to meet and be together and give something a go. And I'm going to be using a quick link here. So quick links gives us all the tools that are inside our learning environment, and we can pull in our assignments, we could pull in a checklist, discussion opportunity. But for our purposes here, what I'm going to do is create a virtual classroom meeting for my students. So virtual classroom meetings gives me the opportunity to schedule a meeting and to hot link it into what I'm doing. So I'm going to schedule this meeting, and for my purposes, I want to call this together because that's where I want it to be hot linked when it comes through. I'm going to set the date and time because it's something that I want them to do with me and to show up at a certain time, and it's going to send them an invitation. I'm setting it for the time at 60 minutes, and you can plan these accordingly, but I don't want to publish the recorded meeting or invite external participants, but I want to make sure that I invite my entire class. And that would be based on my class list. So I can also repeat it or choose not to, and for how long, that would be totally up to you. And I'm going to go ahead and save that here. So now I have my meetings that are all here. You can see that I was testing around and playing with this earlier, but I'm going to choose my together meeting because that's the one I want. Now you can see that it's hot linked there. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up here, and then they can enter into the hot link when they come through. And they'll be able to just click right into that at 1 o'clock and it'll go right to their meeting. Here you have some spell check, some accessibility checker, and a few other tools that you can use for you. And in the event that you wanted more space to be able to see it, everything, you can also toggle the full screen as well. So as we move down, we have a few other configurations we can do. We can set a start date. If we want, we can have an end date on it if we want that announcement to be removed from our feed at any given point. But for us, I'm just going to leave it so that it goes in now and so that it is it's there as necessary. If I wanted to add in more attachments, I can do that, or I can explore release conditions at a later time as well. But I'm really happy with everything that I have put in here. I've checked through the content and really pleased with how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to publish it. So what I see here is a list of my announcements and how they are on the page. But if I go back to my to my home page, I'm going to see that it's rendering right here. And I have everything showing right there on my homepage that tells me exactly what's happening, lets me see side by side my two different pieces here. So that we've created on the left here in activity feed, some gratitude activities, and over here in announcements, we've created a daily physical activity for you. So a couple wellness activities that we can share with our students. So that would be the end of our demo. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring up our presentation again. So we've gone ahead and gone through everything inside our learning objectives. So you now know how to customize your homepage banner, use those replacement strings, create a rich announcement using the insert stuff features and bringing in lots of different interactive materials and multimedia materials. We've created some interactive activity feeds. And then, oh, I forgot to show you how to preview it as a student. I'm sorry. It's a great thing why we have those wonderful agendas to keep us up to date. So once we're here, this is the teacher view, but if you're a student, you're curious, what does my student see? You go up here to where it's going to say your name. You can click on that and it gives you the option to view as a student. I can click on that and it's going to just take me to a generic student view that lets me see exactly what my students see when they open up their homepage. So as again, as the internet catches up to me here, we will slowly see everything kind of render inside. And we can see that exactly what our students are seeing. So they're able to see all the content that we've built out and brought forth for them. And so if in the event that you wanted to double check that, you would have that option there. And you can click into the different posts as well and look at them in further detail if you wanted to. To exit student mode, you just come through here, same way, and just click the X and it'll take you back to your educator view. Oh, let's bring this back up here. So now we've completed everything inside of our agenda, and I would encourage you to give it a try. Hop into your space, have a look at the activity feed and the announcements, play around with the insert stuff tools, and work at looking at bringing in the options and availability to really personalize and make your space that much more engaging for your students. Creating an online community is going to be a very important piece for you as you move forward. So helping to connect our students and support each other and to be able to flip our traditional classrooms and have students be able to interact in a different and engaging way. Important things to consider for your success is to really kind of reframe your thinking. So one of the education officers that I've spent some time with working here in Ontario, his catchphrase that I've been loving is starting small is big. And you don't need to start at with all of your curriculum, all of the pieces. Pick something to begin with and start there. Don't overwhelm yourself, don't overwhelm your students. Less is more, simple is best. Be flexible and empathetic, remembering that students all have different needs, and those needs are altered now that they're in this new education environment as well. Be mindful of those needs. Communication is going to be and consistency are going to be key. Consider creating an agenda or setting some kind of time standard that your parents and students can create a habit around. So for example, perhaps you set the standard that you will have their learning activities posted the night before so that they're able to acquire them in the morning, or just setting that standard for that habit to be created. And don't be afraid to try something new. It's an opportunity for you to evolve your own teaching practice, for you to try new tools, for you to try new resources, and of course, share with each other. The more we can help each other, the more we can provide examples and successes, the better we're all going to be. So I often find wonderful stories on Twitter. Teachers are amazing to share the exciting activities that they're doing. Have a look, see what's there, share your own story. I know from D2L, we love hearing about the way our educators are teaching their students and using the tools to help them achieve that. So please share and find strength and comfort in each other. So that brings me to the end of my presentation today. I'm just going to highlight that we have a bunch of resources that are going to go ahead and be included in the slide deck and available online for you and sent in the email. So these are some D2L related resources that we have. So feel free to explore those as well. There are going to be some more educator webinars happening. So we do have another one that's happening today. It's at 3 p.m. It is a repeat of Monday's webinar if you were attended that. But if you haven't attended it and you need a little bit of help getting started and maneuvering through some of the basics of getting logged in, finding your course, activating it, it would be a great one to attend. My colleague Val will be delivering that this afternoon. And then tomorrow morning at the same time as today, we will be looking at sharing at home using Brightspace Portfolio, which is a wonderful documentation tool that can be used with everybody from junior kindergarten all the way through to seeing it even being used in higher education and with corporate clients as well. So it is set to enable students as young as junior kindergarten to be able to do it by themselves. It's a really cool tool. And that will be my presentation tomorrow. Additionally, we've aggregated a variety of resources here, and again, all these hot links will be available for you in the slide deck and the share that will come out later. These are kind of organized into themes versus level or ability of our educators. So I know it looks like a lot of information that's there, but what I would encourage you to do is to pick one of the tools and dive into it and get a handle on it, and then move forward to another one as your comfort and or comfort improves and increases. And don't be afraid to ask questions. We're here to help. So if there are some questions that we could help, Brightspace Help is a wonderful tool, or Brightspace Community is a great place to do that. So with that said, that's the final check mark on our agenda. I really appreciate you taking time out of your very busy days to join me today for this presentation. I wish everybody very good health and success in their transition to remote learning. And again, please remember to depend on each other, ask for help if you need it, look for ideas, and share your ideas and your work practices with others as well. We are in this together, and there is strength in numbers. I appreciate your time today, and I will hopefully, quote unquote, see you tomorrow at the portfolio webinar. Have a wonderful day, and again, thank you for sharing your time with me today.